What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over Mythic Plus as Affliction. This week I've been just blasting through keys as Affliction. Did a couple 18s, 119, and a lot of 17s and such. And I'm kind of just destroying keys in terms of damage. This is my last run from a 19 the other side. But you can see, like, Seed is just absolutely blasting keys right now. Doing about 10k overall at the low end usually. Sometimes I can do higher. This week is bolstering, so tanks have been kind of scared to pull a lot of mobs at once. So it's like packs of 4 to 5 instead of like massive pulls that you can normally do. So your overall can probably get even higher just based on higher level keys and just pulling bigger in the other weeks. This week is just bolstering, so things are a little slow. So, I'm gonna run through the soulbinds here. I am using Dreamweaver, and the reason why you're using Dreamweaver is because of Field of Blossoms. It's giving you 15% haste, and that scales with your legendary Decay and Soul Satchel, which is another 20% haste when you hit 4 targets, which you should always be hitting 4 targets unless you're doing it on a boss or something. So that's like a ton of haste there. We're running Dark Soul Misery, so you're getting more haste here. And you're just stacking haste constantly. And you can get up to like 120 and 140% haste with all your cooldowns up, making Sow the Seeds, or Seed of Corruption, a 0.7-ish second cast. So it's pretty insane. Base haste, I have about 30% here. My gear isn't actually that great, I'm only 238. 240 if I were to equip another trinket, but yeah, this is pretty low gear and I'm doing like pretty insane damage right now in keys. So going through, we have Withering Bolt, and the reason why we're using Withering Bolt is just to help our single target. I know there's been a lot of talk about how bad Affliction single target is, but with Withering Bolt, it actually makes up for it. Drain Soul ends up doing around 10 to 13% of your damage on boss fights, and on some fights, like I'm just doing the most damage. Let's see if I can find a recent example here. So in this boss fight, we all did about the same amount, but pure single target, you can look through it right here. So we have Rapture, Agony, UA, Soul Rot, Necrotic Wound, so Drain Soul with about 9% of my damage there. And so Withering Bolt is pretty important for single target. It does way more than Focus Malignancy would, because Rapture is doing damage on single target, but since you're running Writhe and Agony, you're not having as many dots. Second here, Roll and Agony. You just do this for quality of life. It makes it so you don't have to refresh Agony a lot, and you can just continue spamming seeds out. So, highly recommend taking this. Endurance conduits don't really matter, you can kind of pick what you want, but I'm using Condensed Animosphere here, and Resolute Barrier here, Field of Blossoms, and Soul Eater. So Soul Eater is just extra damage on your Soul Rot. It's just probably the best thing you can get for AF, mainly because the other AF ones aren't very good. You could swap it for Focus Malignancy for more single target, but I think Soul Eater is just really strong right now. And yeah, that's kind of going through the tree. Now that we are like Renown 54, we got Dream Delver, which is just 3% extra damage on all targets at all times, basically. It's pretty much up the entire time, every single time you're in combat. It's really easy to stack this up because it stacks with dot ticks. Just like if you're using the Shard of Dies here. So every Agony tick, you can see it's just automatically stacking, and that just stays up the whole time. So you're constantly getting like 4.5% damage just by dotting something. So that's also like really strong. My talents here, I'm running Drain Soul, Writhe and Agony, Dark Pact, Sow the Seeds, Mortal Coil, Haunt, and Dark Soul. And the reason why we're running Writhe here instead of Siphon Life, it's because the agony damage is actually pretty substantial on single target, as you can see here on like one of the bosses. So we can go to Hakar. And agony was top damage, right? So yeah, it just does so much damage. It's usually like at the same as Rapture or just equivalent. So I guess you could really run Siphon if you wanted to, but it's a lot easier to run Writhe. And you wouldn't use Siphon on any trash packs, you'd just use it like specifically for bosses. But Writhe is hitting pretty hard right now. I'm always taking Dark Pact just because it's an insane cooldown right now. It can prevent you from taking a lot of damage on so many mobs through all the dungeons. You're taking Sow the Seeds, obviously, just because it's doing crazy damage right now. Mortal Coil just for like the extra heal, and it's like sometimes you can use it to interrupt things. Haunt is just for the extra single target, and Dark Soul is just the best of this pack, just 30% haste. So kind of go over here and show you what an opener looks like. So if possible, you want to be preceding every time. So like if you see your tank running in, you want to be preceding. So like tank's running in, precede, haunt to pop it, UA, agony all your targets. You would agony more targets here if possible. Pop your cooldowns, and then you're just spamming seed. You're using your haunt and your UA on the highest health target usually. Most packs will have like one bigger mob that has to die, so just keep your UA and haunt on that. You can see we're doing just 14k on 3 targets, and that's like, you know, without loss or anything. And then obviously as targets get low, you want to snipe them for shards. So you can just snipe them for shards. You can also do it with UA. If you're like really low on shards and you see a mob's like gonna die, you can swap your UA to it and drain it and get 2 shards back. So yeah, it's a pretty simple rotation. Just keep your agonies up and spam seed. Right? There's not too much to it. Another tip I'd say is just try to use your cooldowns as often as possible. Save your soul rot for, you know, when if you know you're about to pull 4 to 5 mobs, you want to save your soul rot instead of using it on single target, right? So if there's like one big mob, or if you're using it on a mini boss, it's better to just kind of save it and have it used for the big pack, because you're getting so much extra haste from using it. You can pop out so many seeds at once. So I'm just going to show you a quick example from a 17 Sanguine Depths that we did. So this is a full pug. And this is just going to show like the first pull with no loss or anything, just using your cooldowns like you would normally. So just going to agony these guys. I'm going to seed the back because they should pop when they're all stacked up. I popped down my Shadow Fury there for an extra stun. Soul Rot. Getting my dots on the big target. And then I'm just spamming seed here. So this is on a bolstering week with no loss, right? On a 17 fortified. And the stuff is dying so fast, like my seeds aren't even really like popping. But you can see I'm doing like over 30k overall and just completely blasted that pack. And you can consistently do this every single minute or two. Like, you don't need your Dark Soul. However, that will make it like your AoE will just go like through the roof basically. But even with just your Soul Rot, your AoE damage is pretty insane. So let me just show it again really quick. No buffs at all. This is just, 2-minute cooldowns. Just popping seeds here. See, we're doing like 15k sustain. and this doesn't ever really stop. Like, the more targets you have, the more agonies you have out, so you want to put out at least 4 to 5, and your shard just constantly come in. And you can just do this and do this over and over again every 2 minutes until the packs are dead. Yeah, this is kind of what I've been running. I'm probably going to even run this build on Tyrannical Week, honestly, just because the single target is not bad so long as you have Necrotic Wound. Necrotic Wound really helps your single target, so whenever that anima power is available at whatever point in the dungeon, I'm always grabbing it. It's just really worth it for the single target, because that is the only real weakness of this build right now. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful. It's kind of what I've been doing. It's been a lot of fun. So if you guys have any questions, you can just ask them in the comments, and see you for the next one.